Hello and welcome back to Pulp Kitchen. This is a little bit of extra content about The Roses, the new Benedict Cumberbatch, Olivia Colman movie that has come out, and I've seen it. James has been away.
Not seen it.
But I thought we'd drop a little review about it because it hasn't featured in the main show, and some of you might have seen it. So, The Roses, James, is based off of a previous IP called The War of the Roses, which a lot of people, I think of a previous generation, our parents' generation,
Yes,
are very familiar with. Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. I wasn't familiar with that, and so I'm going to be reviewing it as myself, as someone who didn't know that, with fresh eyes.
Too right.
So The Roses...
George will be reviewing as George Pundit today.
Tonight, James, I'm going to be myself.
Wow.
And so The Roses is described as an anti-rom-com in which we covers about sort of like a 13-year period, actually.
Oh, really?
We cover the relationship and a subsequent breakdown of relationship between Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch plays an architect who, and James, you'll be happy to know, as someone who used to work in the industry, I was watching him and I was like, he does look like an architect.
Yeah.
They dress him like an architect, and he does things. I'm like, that's very architecture-y.
And what do architects look like, George, for people who don't know?
Chalk coats, Veyer shoes, and relaxed trousers. It's not all like, it's not suits and stuff. It's more like utilitarian chic and relaxed wear, coordinated top and bottom.
Stockholm-inspired fashion wear.
Yeah, yes, it is, absolutely. Eco-conscious stuff. And we meet Benedict Cumberbatch at a work drinks where he's complaining about this project that he's just worked on. He's really depressed about the fact that they haven't got any balconies on it. It's a very sort of amusing little thing. And I found it very funny. I was like, that's exactly as an architect would talk. Anyway, out of despair, he walks into the kitchen of this restaurant where Olivia Colman is working as the head chef.
Friend of the show.
And they have this, well, both friends of the show, we should say, actually. We met both of them at Sundance and both lovely people.
They don't know who we are.
You have no memory of who we are. It's actually quite funny because when we met Benedict in Benedict, as I like to call him,
Ben.
in Sundance, he was in quite serious mode.
Very
nice, but serious.
Because we
he was promoting a serious movie.
Like, it was very weird how we would actually get the talent to be taken to our zone to ask our questions, and we were sort of part of the lobbying to encourage that to happen. And I remember when you were like going to ask Benedict some questions, and he was like, "What questions are you going to ask me?"
Yeah, it was. I was
Can I see that? I want to know. And then he got your questions, and then walked away to go and think of his answers, which no one did.
No. Anyway, lovely guy though. Was very nice guy.
Very nice, very nice.
So they have this meet cute in this kitchen restaurant, and they instantly develop this strong, passionate chemistry, and it's really funny actually their interaction. We cut forward 10 years. And they are living in California, where they have a wonderful home with 2 children, and they're both doing okay. Olivia Colman has put her career on the sidelines to raise the 2 children. Benedict Cumberbatch is being successful as an architect. And then there is the inciting incident, as it were, James, is that there is a moment, one particular evening, in which Olivia Colman has the best night of her career, whilst Benedict Cumberbatch has the worst night of his career. And Olivia Colman, who's working at this crab shack, this seafood restaurant called We've Got Crabs,
lovely,
that Benedict Cumberbatch bought for her and said, look, this would be a nice project for you, it suddenly takes off. Meanwhile, Benedict Cumberbatch is having the worst time of his career and finds himself at home looking after the children and this little sort of role reversal. And so begins the sort of acrimony between them and the slight tearing of the relationship fabric. And like I said, it goes over many, many years until you reach a point of boiling tension and fits and arguments and throwing things. So it's directed by Jay Roach, who's had a background in comedy. He directed all of the Austin Power movies, for example. He directed Meet the Parents. He directed Meet the Fockers.
Yeah.
I think on the whole, I'd just like to say it's an hour and 40 minutes. Solid runtime for a solid movie. This is solidly good fun. I think it's had some sort of kind of sniffy reviews, kind of late August release is a bit strange. Poster is a bit empty. It's just the 2 of them leaning in with each other.
But plain.
It is a bit plain.
Just sorry, apologies for the drilling if you do hear it. Everyone's doing construction work, sorry.
But the fact is, Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch are very good actors, and they are very good friends. It's why they wanted to make a movie together. They have great chemistry, and their time on screen is brilliant. Their interactions are funny and barbed and sharp, and they take a script and elevate it, and all of their micro decisions on their face is brilliant. Olivia Colman, just putting her out as an example, in one scene, she'll go from sort of warm mother to sharp, bitter-tongued wife to emotional, wounded spouse.
And she could do that. She's got that range.
It's so delicate and so deft. And I actually think it's one of my favourite Olivia Colman performances we've seen in a film, actually. Yeah. And Cumberbatch is also great in a different gear. I think we're so used to seeing him being either very serious or, hamming it up in a little bit, with respectfully hamming it up, Benedict, in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But this, he's kind of in like a comedic midlife crisis mode, and I quite like that.
Back down to earth a bit.
Back down to earth.
Cumberbatch.
And that's great, and they really are the beating heart of this movie. And I think they might be producers on it, so like it's that makes sense. You have to have the couple work in order for it to work. There's some great, humorous lines and funny set pieces, and it barrels along pretty solidly for its hour 40 runtime. There's a couple of things I think I found curious about it. One is that it's set in California, but within 4 minutes, I was like, that's Devon, isn't it? and once you realise that, you can't unsee it. And I think any English viewer will be... It is...
Sorry, why not just film it in California, or set it where you film it?
Here's the thing. I think it's... Because it's got 2 British leads... I think they were like, well, we live in England. Why don't we film it? It's also cheaper to film in the UK, because the tax credits and things. So it also stars Ncuti Gatwa, and like Jamie Demetriou turns up.
Which makes you feel very English.
Which makes you feel very English. Jamie Demetriou doing an American accent, but I'm like, yeah, but you're English. And it's small things like, the coves and the beaches are very Devon-y.
Yeah.
And the roads are small and windy, which you don't get in America.
The terrain is terrain. Like, it's really unique and distinctive. Like, we rocked up to Utah and we were like, this is US. You can tell by the landscape. They're like, I am there.
It's almost like it's thousands of miles away on a different geological plane of a huge planet.
Do you know for sure that it was shot in Devon?
Yes, I do. Because the restaurant that Olivia Colman opens is actually a restaurant in Devon.
Right, yeah.
And, I actually found it quite... admittedly distracting, but amusing to see all the ways they tried to make it convincingly Devon. So they brought in a couple of palm trees for the house that they live in, which again is just like, it's such an English house, but the house number, they'd given it a 4-digit house number, which is very American.
Yes.
It was like 1062. In the background, I could see they tried to include American plugs, but it's just something in your bones as an English viewer. Yeah. You're like, this is inherently England, which I found amusing.
Because it's like the space, the size of rooms, and the height, and like the materials the walls are made out of, like all of that is totally like nature to where you film it.
And the film opens actually they're in a couples therapy session, and it's funny because when they step out of the room, I was like, that's just an English building, because it's narrow and you've got like Victorian beams. It's just something quite funny. Right. Mentioning about the therapy session at the beginning, the counselling session, it makes a nice comparison, I think, a nice companion piece to something like Marriage Story and This Is 40.
Right,
you have the midlife crisis ennui of This Is 40, and you also have the kind of horrible, dark, self-destructive bitterness of Marriage Story. And actually this film does touch on and go into darker places, which I quite appreciated. One thing I found quite interesting is that I've mentioned the comedic talent and ability of Colman and Cumberbatch in this, which is undisputed. And Jay Roach clearly has a great handling of comedy. But there were a few times in this film I thought there was a slight disconnect between the comic ability of Jay Roach and the comic ability of Cumberbatch and Colman. And what I mean by that is, it's purely about style. It's not about one party being more talented than the other. It's that Jay Roach, if you look at his back catalogue, an American comedy film director directs in a kind of more relaxed, languid pace. If you think of a lot of big American comedies, Judd Apatow, Paul Feig, they're kind of slightly more relaxed. They're a bit baggier, and that's because of the style of comedy. If you look at This Is 40, which I just mentioned, it's a bit more relaxed. You give time for the actors to kind of improvise and all that. But when you have Cumberbatch and Colman on screen, they are tight and sharp and witty and focused. And sometimes I wanted the energy of the film to match that instead of always relaxing back into the kind of Jay Roach Californian Hollywood version of it.
Dissonance between talent and
you see that it's not that it's not that either party is unworthy. It's just sometimes I'm like, you've got a really sharp, quirky British lead duo here, and sometimes I wanted the film to follow that energy, but then it would cut to the next scene and it's just like, oh, it's still kind of broad strokes, mainstream Hollywood comedy here. I think it's slightly me overthinking and overanalyzing it there, but there's just a few times, because they are so good in it, I wanted it to match that. I would say they've got supporting characters of, I mentioned Ncuti Gatwa's in it, but by the way, Ncuti Gatwa I think is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
He turns up in this movie in like a string vest, and he's glowing. He's
got a very gorgeous soft skin and a bright
beautiful
smile,
tone to his voice. I was like, good Lord, Shooty, please.
Yeah.
You've got Andy Samberg and Kate McKinnon in this as sort of the best friends in supporting roles. And I don't think the film really knows what to do with them. First of all, as characters, they're brought in only when the plot sort of needs them, and you're not really aware of what they do or anything. They're kind of brought in here and there. And it's only later on that we discover that Andy Samberg's a lawyer. And you go, oh, okay, I thought you were another architect, but fine. I also think it's strange that Andy Samberg and Kate McKinnon, two very comically gifted actors. Again, I don't think they know how much to dial up or dial down the comedy ability. Andy Samberg is not really funny in this movie. He's kind of just providing lines for Colman and Cumberbatch.
Yes.
And Kate McKinnon is such an interesting performer, unbelievably funny. But in a way, I realised after this film that SNL really is the perfect vehicle for her because she is switching modes all the time. And in this, she's playing the sort of Andy Samberg's wife who has a very particular sexual interest in Benedict Cumberbatch. And I would say that, 20% of her lines landed. And the rest didn't in terms of the jokes. She's trying different things. She's an improviser by nature and different modes. And I would say, 20% of it landed. And the other times you go, okay, that's just a bit odd.
I agree. Kate McKinnon's hilarious. And I've seen so many sketches, just bits she's done where I'm like, you are an amazing impressionist as well. But I've always found her film stuff very hit and miss, which I think is a shame.
Yeah.
I actually thought in Barbie she was very funny for me.
The thing is, she is inherently weird Barbie. I've realised that is her defining character. That's a perfect character.
Not a lot of people loved her in that. I'm like, no, I had a lot of time for that whole idea as well. I thought it was really funny and really well realised. But generally in film, I've not gone, oh my God, Kate McKinnon's in it. It's going to be a great movie, which is such a shame because she is a talent.
But I will say there's a nice, and sort of towards the latter half of the film, there's a conversation she has with Benedict Cumberbatch about her relationship with Andy Samberg. And there's actually this really poignant, funny description she gives about their relationship. And I was like, oh, that's really good, actually. I really like that. And then the kind of film builds to, this sort of conclusion, which if you've seen the trailer, the kind of the War of the Roses element to it that the film is based off of is really almost like just a 5-10 minute montage of them trying to sabotage each other's lives. Right. I think a lot of people will think that's the whole movie. It's not. That's really just a short bit. But I actually like the fact the film gave time to properly establish how a relationship breaks down and all the micro moments and aggressions and triggers that cause a loving couple who do still love each other to absolutely hate each other as well.
I like that you're saying that it gives time to develop this without it being like a 2 hour and 20 minute comedy. It's an hour 40, but it has sort of lets the characters and the situation and the relationship breathe. That sounds great.
If it was a Judd Apatow movie,
it really would. You could give that script to Judd Apatow, it'd be 2.5 hours. It really would. Similar, sort of not really related, but interesting. I saw a lot of press clips with Colman and Cumberbatch doing junkets and funny little interviews, and someone was asking them about forgive me, I can't remember exactly what outlet was saying, asked about pet peeves at work, and Cumberbatch said you shouldn't be late, and Olivia Colman agreed because all the crew are there, everyone's got families and busy lives, you should be on time, and they agreed. So, it has happened, but there's always a good reason. And then Olivia Colman said, you should learn your lines. You should learn your lines. I have had a couple of times where I've forgotten, but when somebody turns up and they're really unprepared, I think that's terrible because there are so many other actors who would happily learn their lines to sit with you set, and they both agreed. And Benedict Cumberbatch said something really interesting. He said, I've had a couple of moments in my career where I've been way too busy and I've really dropped the ball and not learned my lines on the day, and I've really hated it. And it's happened a few times where I wasn't switched on and I didn't have it down, and I've really hated that. And then people were speculating as to what projects Benedict Cumberbatch had done that meant that he hadn't learned his lines. People were obviously pointing at Multiverse of Madness, maybe, or because I don't think he would have, not learnt his lines for The Imitation Game or that Julian Assange movie he did. But you got to wonder, even for Cumberbatch,
if you're on the second round of reshoots for Multiverse of Madness, and you're also trying to get a small indie off the ground as well, you're getting phone calls to do the Roses in a few years' time.
Because I reckon if to be Doctor Strange, for example, you in some sense, you do have an enormous amount of lines, but I also reckon there are many days where you are just saying one line to camera, and it's just about CG, and you're acting opposite a blue person, like it's sort of like CG and a CG wall, and the lines is not what makes that job difficult. But later down the line, you'll actually forget you've got 2 pages of dialogue to like really get down, and the script changes.
Well, that's it. Script change. We also know from the nature of these movies that every day the script is different.
And how frustrating if your brain works in that way, where you need to sit and really learn exactly those lines, and then you must get sort of like desensitized to sort of being very protective over exactly what you were given. So maybe a bit of sympathy, but yeah. It was Multiverse of Madness, wasn't it? He was like, I'm not fucking learning this shit.
Benedict Cumberbatch made a joke about that when I interviewed him at Sundance, because I had the questions written down, but because it'd taken so long to get him, it'd taken about half an hour to finally get him to stay with us.
Yeah.
That
was very busy.
I asked him the first 2, and then I was like, what's my third question? And I had my notes right next to me. I said, hang on. And he was just like, oh, don't worry, you don't need to apologise about not learning your lines. So, take it from me, or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
It's quite nice.
Do we have an email, James?
And we do have an email, but also like it's nice that we do. It's nice that a really accomplished, classically trained actor like Benedict Cumberbatch, like sometimes he just doesn't know his lines. Yeah, and that's really nice.
I will say as well, what I love about the Roses is that they are a British couple. They didn't go right. Olivia Colman, Benedict Cumberbatch. American accents for you too.
Yes. And I've always found Cumberbatch's American accent.
He does look.
He's a very British voice to me.
Someone has pointed out, I think it might have been Honest Trailers, that his American accent sounds like in Die Hard when Hans Gruber tries to be American, when he's like, "Oh God, you're gonna kill me! Oh no!" Because there's a bit in Doctor Strange where he's like, "You care so much, don't you, about whether I live or die?"
It does.
Or like he is doing the Alan Rickman, pretending to be German, pretending to be American.
Because they both have like deep presence-filled British voices. We do have an email written from Joseph writes in, says, George's look-alike, The Life of Chuck.
Here we go.
And Roses. Good day, boys. Joe again from Tasmania.
Ooh, First of all, that is far from here.
That is as far as it gets.
If we were to walk there now, James, we'd be there next year.
The fastest way to go is to dig. The fastest way to get there. First of all, congratulations on the well-deserved success with press junkets, interviews, Patreon content, and the overall growth of the show. Thank you so much. And the interviews we've had this summer, great.
I will say that it's one of those things that we're so busy going through the motions of producing the show that it sometimes takes 2 months before we suddenly go,
that was cool, wasn't it?
To that person.
Like, it was like 4 or 5 weeks in a row we had stars and directors of the films of that episode in the show. And I think also we get quite a lot of requests that sometimes just don't happen because of schedules, busyness, availability. And I also like the reason we often do these solos because like it is really hard for both of us to manage to do it, or even one of us to be able to do it. But we're just happy to get the opportunity. But like we'll zoom out after that and go, that was really cool that we've had all those people. But it can be a lot of like, can you do this day? You need to see the film. They want it this time. Can you hold it for a few more weeks? So I don't think we can focus
and now
on
you've got the footage. Can you edit it into something
It's
exciting?
only sometimes you put the episode out, you're like, look, it's
Matt Smith.
It's fucking Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Joseph goes on to say, I've recently found myself on a rewatch of your episodes, and it's amazing to see the growth of the show.
A rewatcher.
I love how it's like, it's amazing to see the growth of the show. I like to say that it's really sort of been shit, maybe. Since earlier episodes, the effort does not go unnoticed. Thank you so much. We talk about improving the show every day. I thought I'd just give my quick thoughts on a couple of new releases I've seen. Firstly, on Life of Chuck, which we reviewed a couple of weeks ago with an interview with Stuart Ledgerford. Just going to name drop that there. The other day, I took myself to see The Life of Chuck at my local cinema, my second ever solo cinema trip that I cannot recommend enough. I mean, we've said that so many times.
I would say
one of the great pastimes.
Life of Chuck is a good solo cinema trip.
Yes, because it's like thought-provoking and contemplative.
Go and muse.
Yes, something with sort of like a spurious ending, I think is good to sort of like go and see. I saw some TikToks of like people recording themselves after having just come home from their first cinema trip and being like, that was amazing. Thank you guys for recommending it to me. Goes on to say, I saw the film My Favourite Numbered Cinema and was incredibly excited to see the film after hearing a lot of positive buzz since its premiere at earlier festivals. I'm pleased to say that I thoroughly enjoyed the film and the overall experience of seeing a life-affirming and inspiring film such as itself. I watched the second act with a beaming smile on my face and was surprised to see Mia Sara back on the screen.
Yes.
As I watched it and thought, is that Mia Sara? No, surely not. She's too good to have been missing for so long. Oh my God, it is Mia Sara. Yeah. I thought Ben Pajak and Mark Hamill and Chiwetel Ejiofor and herself were standouts in the film. As a 19-year-old still trying to figure out what to do in life, whether to stay in university with a business degree or pursue my love of film and performance, the film really resonated with me and encourages me to live life to the fullest with as little regret as possible. Lovely email. The other film I saw was The Roses.
Here we go.
A new adaptation of the Warner Adler novel from 1981 starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman. I saw this film on National Cinema Day at my local, who was selling tickets for $5, sorry. For you Brits, that's about £2.50.
Good Lord,
that is really cheap.
Real.
Yeah, $5 Australian. It's about,
Bloody hell.
It says £2.49. The cinema was packed with everyone laughing and reacting joyfully to the film, which was incredibly heartwarming to hear and see, reminding me about the power of cinema. This film was a real good time, incredibly funny, really well directed, great performances from a great ensemble cast, and Cumberbatch's character is as an architect. Looking at you, George.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the film in your own. I recommend seeing the film in your own time, even if you don't review it on the show. It is a real great time and can be a great night out.
Can I just say on two things? First of all, when Benedict, I don't want to, because you might go see it. When Benedict Cumberbatch has his worst day ever, career-wise, to do with architecture, I found it so funny because I don't know, it was just striking a chord that I was like, I can imagine this happening with the people I used to work with, and it really made me laugh. Secondly, when you say it's a good night out, I will say that Anna and I went to see this together, little date night, sat in a lovely row C, James, in front of everyone, well-behaved audience,
lovely.
Other people liked it.
I should hope so for that.
Smashed a bag of Maltesers in the opening 20 minutes.
Of the film?
Yeah.
Well, you ate during the film?
James, because we got there with 10 minutes
So
to
you'll
go.
do it with Anna, but not with me.
We got there with 10 minutes to go, we were settling in, and the trailer started to go, and we were like, I think I could have
a little bag of Maltesers.
Darling, let me go get us some Maltesers.
Maltesers are a 10 out of 10 snack.
And we got through this so easily, and that was perfect. It was a lovely Monday night.
Did you like eating in the film?
Yeah, because I didn't
George
have
doesn't eat
people
during films he eats before.
because I didn't have people shoulder to shoulder around me.
You could breathe,
I
you could
didn't
eat.
feel like I was disturbing anyone. Also, I got the motion down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it's also a film that you can follow quickly. If it was Tenet, I don't think I would have done it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Like a lot of foods, Maltesers taste best not in plastic. So if you can get
Or the box.
Maltesers in the box or even the tub, have you seen the tub? They serve Maltesers in like sandcastle buckets.
Do you remember when they used to do the white Maltesers?
Yes, yeah.
Do they still do those?
I think you could probably find them, yeah. But it's nice to see. I mean, maybe for Christmas if you're good. Yeah, I love a large box of Maltesers at Christmas with a little hole in it for some reason.
Oh yeah, it's a naughty little hole.
Yeah, you had to like tip one out.
Just trying to get it.
The Emerald Fennel tree, just slide it in. The Wuthering Heights. My final thing, sorry for the length, has been on my mind for quite a while now. Sorry, that's just an example of how every fourth, fifth conversation we have is about food.
Yeah.
My final thing, sorry for the length, has been on my mind for quite a while now. And re-listening to George's thoughts on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning 2023, I thought I'd finally share. If I can ask.
No, your thoughts. I didn't review Dead Reckoning on the show in 2023. I just want to jump. You know how people get us confused?
Yes.
You reviewed it.
Why was
I hadn't
that?
seen because I.
Were you away?
I hadn't seen it. Then I went away, and then I caught it like 3 weeks later.
Yeah, you were. Because it came out in the was it spring? Yeah.
No, it was the summer.
Yes, my thoughts. I thought I'd finally share, if I can ask, and if not already on, can George please put on his glasses for this bit?
Wearing.
Is it just me that thinks George looks almost exactly like Carrie Ulis' character from the Mission? Carrie Ulis' character from the Mission films.
Oh,
and he's shown the thing. You're not wrong. The glasses are very similar.
Okay, I can see the photos here. Who wrote this email? Joseph.
This is Joseph. Yeah.
Joseph.
Sorry, no, just me. Surely better than the Lewis Capaldi.
It was Peter Capaldi, but equally shit.
Not Lewis Capaldi. Anyway, there is my 2 cents. Love your work, boys. Keep it up. Can't love you anymore. Keep it up until you can't anymore. Sorry. Love from Tasmania. Joe, bear with me.
Joe, let me just tell you something. How do you think I'm going to take that?
I'll put it on screen.
How did you expect? How am I supposed to react to this?
It's not about like the age. Like, because when I said Peter Capaldi, I didn't mean that you looked old. There was like something about.
I'm sorry, no, just don't. There's comparison to Peter Capaldi. Love him, icon. Don't. It's not
There's something like facial features I saw.
I could see this being me in 30 years.
No, it's not about the age. It's like the hair shape is similar.
Yes.
The glasses are similar.
Yeah.
Like you no facial hair. You don't ever have facial hair.
I'll just say that like. When someone says, "Oh, you look like this famous person," it's never quite the compliment you want it to be.
No, but I think sometimes people aren't saying like, "Oh, you're this exact like level of age or attractiveness." I think there's like a facial feature that sometimes.
You know what? I think if I went through an airport scanner, or if he went through an airport scanner, there would be a microsecond of delay as it thinks. Is that no?
It's George Funday.
You might.
I'll put it on screen.
Yeah, but
people can judge.
I like the humour. Don't worry, Joe. That's fine. Thank you.
That was all we had. Guys, if you've seen The Roses and you want to send in your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, your reviews, please do, as always, send them into
hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com
and we'll read them out on a future episode of the show. Thank you for your review of The Roses,
Thank
George.
you. Your
Don't
pleasure.
forget, make sure you listen to Double Take.
Yeah.
Double Take.
If you're a Patreon subscriber, which is our exclusive news show, where we talked about loads of things. We talked about the Wuthering Heights Emerald Fennell trailer. We talked about the new Oscar Perkins trailer. We talked about the new 28 years
There's
later.
more Superman coming.
More
We unpacked
Superman
all of
coming.
that.
Jordan Peele's had his
it's
movie
a great
taken off
show.
the
And just a
schedule.
reminder for everyone that if you listen to us on Spotify, if you subscribe to us on Patreon, you can link up your Spotify feed and have it all run on one convenient place, which is really great. Because sometimes you don't want to switch apps to support. It's nice that you can just get it all. So if you do want to hear more from us, and we're in the Double Take set. For people watching, this is where we record Double Takes. It's a whole different energy.
And it's such a set. Like, we took ages to set this up. We didn't just drag a bench out and put a camera up.
No. It's not one shot for convenience of editing at all.
We've shot so much outside this year.
We really
it's
have.
really nice.
It is nice.
Yeah.
Even in the cold, I'm like, it's just nice to be outdoors.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is the best way to support us if you ever wanted to go and head over there. And it is a really great show that I really do enjoy doing.
If we do say so ourselves.
If we do say so ourselves. Oh, I listened to the Fred one. And I was like, this is a good show.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It's
It keeps you informed.
Yeah, it's a nice little newsy bit. So thank you so much.
And thank you as ever to our producers, Finn and Dave.
We salute you, sir. Cheers. Take care. See
Bye.
you next week. Bye.